Hey everyone, it is Stephanie here with Infernal TV, and I'm here with Tim of Embryonic Autopsy. So, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Steph?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Awesome.
So now with this new album, you are ending the three-part trilogy, the Alien trilogy. So, how does it feel, and what are you thinking for your next lyrical concepts?
Yeah, we kind of formed the band based on the fact that me and our guitar player Scott really loved the things about like the ancient Egyptians and Mayans and Aztecs and the cultures and how like the pyramids and all that sort of stuff were built. And, I mean, if you look at science today, they literally can't recreate it with all the technology we even have today. So to see ancient civilizations build things like that and have different writings and navigate the stars and all that, and you see all those programs on it about how aliens came to kind of visit and help them with it and all that, kind of really piqued uh, our interest, and especially me lyrically. And oddly enough, in my old band, Oppressor, which was my first death metal band, I always wanted to call a song Embryonic Autopsy. I don't know why or what it was. I just love the way those two words mesh together. But Oppressor was more about, c- talking about more like napalm death type stuff, like corruption that's going on in the world, and you know all kinds of worldly problems and the downfall of humankind and stuff. So it really didn't fit with what we were doing. So when me and Scott formed Embryonic Autopsy, we were looking for a name, and I'm like, man, I've had this song title in my head forever, and what should we I'm thinking about calling it that. And I Googled everything, looked it up, and nobody had taken the name. I mean, usually you have to go through about 100 names to find something that works. This one just kind of spoke out. So, we combined that of, in the womb, the infancy of everything and all that with the combination of alien human hybrid type theories and things like that that go around that we're both intrigued by. So that's how the idea of the first record came about. And once we started diving into it and kind of finding our way, I was like, man, it would be so cool if we wrote a trilogy to this, kind of like a three-part of it, to where how the aliens, how they unlock this technology in the first record. Then on the second record, they start having the alien human hybrids, but they're not turning out quite as well. They're all mutated and deformed and everything. And on the third record, they finally get it right, and they rise and they're ready to reclaim the throne and retake over where they had started all those centuries ago in those ancient civilizations. So it was really fun to delve into that and to be able to put a three-part trilogy together lyrically and conceptually. And we were definitely lucky that we were able to get 3 albums worth of material together and do that. And it coming out was kind of like sealed the final chapter of it. So next off, I have no idea what to do. So my brain's always ticking and working, so I think we'll figure out what to do with the next record and how to go about it. But it was really on this one, to make a very long story short, it was very satisfying to actually complete something that we had set out to do, and didn't get in any obstacles to where like having a label go out of business or getting dropped, or you know where the band broke up or something. And we were actually able to complete what we had set out to do, and we're ready for the next chapter after this. So I'm sure my deranged and warped mind will figure out something to do for the next one.
Nice. And that's awesome. So, let's go to the next question because with Rise of the Mutated, you brought back a lot of the guest soloists, specifically James Murphy and Terrence Hobbs. So I noticed with all the albums, you bring back the same, guitar players, whether it's James Murphy, Terrence Hobbs, Jack Owens, another one you brought back. So why are you working with the same guitarists?
It kind of goes again back to my days in Oppressor. And we toured with all those bands in Oppressor. We toured with Cannibal Corpse, toured with Suffocation. We did we did some disincarnate dates, and James Murphy is probably one of my favorite guitar players all of all time, let alone one of my favorite death metal guitar players. So uh, he and I, became friends over the years and stuff like that. And when we initially did this first record, it wasn't quite finished yet. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of need some reassurance here. I'm going to send it to some of my death metal friends. And, even though I had been, in the band Soil after Oppressor broke up, which is more of like a, hard rock, new metal type band, I still listen to death metal every day and love the genre. So I never got out of death metal. So I was still in contact with all these people. And what was crazy is a lot of them liked what I was doing in Soil, which was cool too. So I sent it to Terrence and I sent it to James, and they're both like, wow, you really got something here. I was like, would you be interested in putting like a solo on it? And Terrence was like, yeah, sure. And James was like, yeah, sure. So the first record just had, each of them playing one. And I reached out to my buddy Doc Coyle from God Forbid because he came up to me and he's like, dude, he's like, uh, we when we write riffs, sometimes we're like, oh man, let's write an oppressor riff for this. And although God Forbid's more of like a metalcore band, definitely not death metal, but uh, they love death metal, and they were like, oh, that's like an oppressor riff. So they were like huge oppressor fans. In fact, Doc, who played a solo on the first record, when he had long hair, got was 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 in New Jersey seeing Oppressor play and got his hair caught in my guitar player's headstock. And they were pushing and pulling to kind of like get it out so that they didn't detune the guitar, yet his hair was all wrapped up
Oh
in the
my
headstock when
gosh.
we were in the middle of a show. So I felt it fitting that he should definitely be a guest. And then, subsequently on each of the other records, I was like, man, maybe we should just, along with the trilogy type thing and going on with it, we should bring these guys back. So, and they were more than willing to do it. And I kept getting more out of them. Like, James did uh, three solos on the second record and he did four solos on this new one and stuff. So again, now that we've completed the trilogy and all that, I don't know exactly what we'll do on the next one, but it's been real fun having those guys. And, you know, since we, tip our hats to the old school death metal style and all, to have some of the people that I not only played with back in the day, but looked up to back in the day to be part of my new project was a real honor. And it was something that was really cool to have done. So that's kind of the story of how that all came about with them on there. And we just mailed James and Terrence copies of the new record, and James is like, oh, this looks great. And I'm so excited about it and all that. He's such a great guy. And same with Terrence and stuff. And I've known Jack, since the Cannibal Corpse days and things like that. And we've done two tours now with 6 Feet Under. So having him on the last record was something special as well.
Nice. And I noticed specifically with this album that the solos, especially Terrence's solo, I think you went a little different than his usual style. It sounds like way more technical, like it really fits Embryonic Autopsy music. I think more so than Suffocation, which I appreciated.
Oh, wow. That's so nice of you to say. In fact, Terrence was literally ready to leave for a Suffocation tour when I hit him up to do the solo. So he was just like, "Oh my gosh, you caught me at like the last minute time." And he's like, I'm doing this specifically for you." He had like 2 days before he was going to Europe with
Wow.
Suffocation. So he just literally belted it out. So I think that, not overthinking it and overanalyzing it, him just being him and being the wonderful and amazing guitar player that he is, just belted it out and sent it to us. And we're like, oh wow, yeah,
Oh wow, that is
you really did it
amazing.
on this one. And then he's like, yep, I'm off to Europe. See you guys. And that was that. So.
That is crazy. Oh my God. So, one thing with this band is you all have the greatest song titles, like Feasting Upon the Rotted Uterus. Like the first time, like I listened to the album, I was looking at the title track. I'm like laughing my ass off out of all these song titles. Like these are just phenomenal. So, I mean, when you write songs, especially since we were talking about the trilogy and you're going back into like, aliens coming into like ancient civilizations and everything. So, when you like, I guess, how do you combine that with like that brutal death metal, like super, crazy, like, gory song titles?
I mean, the song titles, I love that you said that because, I look at them and I start, chuckling myself because I'm like, how are we getting away with this? Like on iTunes and all this stuff. And, you know, because they are over the top. And, nowadays to, to get attention and to get people to pay attention, you have to hit them over the head with a sledgehammer. So, we could have easily, you know, I could have easily, since I read all the lyrics, come up with, just basic song titles and stuff. But I really wanted to take two aspects that I've always admired is gore metal, which, uh, like early Cannibal and 6 Feet and, all those type of bands that would do Broken Hope, that do things like that. And so the band name Embryonic Autopsy, I wanted to combine gore metal with the whole alien hybrid thing. So I had to walk a fine line of how can I tell the story of alien human hybrids yet make it gross and sick and where people are like, what's wrong with this guy? And what's going on here? So I basically tried to make a horror movie set to lyrics and to the music. Like if you watch, gore movies nowadays, like I just saw Ice Cream Man by Eli Roth the other day in the theater, and they're just like bashing in these people's heads and guts and brains and stuff are spilling out and they're pulling the entrails out. And you look at the Terrifier movies, it's like back when I was like a little tiny kid, back in the 80s and 90s, they didn't have that type of gore in movies. They get banned or they get an X rating or they'd have to chop it out. But now it's allowed. So I definitely wanted to push the envelope on it and have it to where if you looked at the song titles, you'd be like, what is going on here? And that's crazy and want to listen to the music for it. And then if you thought the music sucked, well, then you thought it sucked, but at least you got to check it out and make you up your own mind. So, again, with all the social media and just everybody being bombarded by everything, I felt like I had to take it to an extreme to where people would at least, you know, scratch their heads and say, I got to check this out just because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I was exactly thinking when you were saying, combining the alien story with gore, I was thinking, the alien movies, like going back to horror movies, the sci-fi horror, and there are so many. I think Species is another one. Like
Oh,
there's
yeah, yeah.
oh yeah, so many good like gory alien movies. So like you totally like achieve that with all three albums and especially this one.
Oh, thanks so much.
Absolutely. And now one thing I find interesting is how you record and mix the album yourselves, and um, so I guess like I'll just go into like a whole spiel with this question because I understand when you work with an engineer from start to finish, from recording to mastering, the engineer is kind of like another band member who is, giving some feedback, giving their ideas, maybe recommending this or that. But when you make like when you record yourselves, you're, staying true to what you wrote. So, do you feel like that creates some biases, or has it just worked for you, I like how should I word this? So, or do you think this is what works best for you?
That's a great question because we've actually been pondering for the next recording, actually going into a different studio with an engineer, producer, the whole nine yards. But the first incarnation of Embryonic Autopsy was just me and Scott. He came to me and he's like, I've got some death metal songs. Would you consider, you know, getting your pipes back in action and actually singing and playing bass on this? Because in Oppressor, I sang and played bass. I'm like, well, I have no interest in playing bass on a death metal record, but I could try to dust the pipes off and see what we got. And he's like, okay, and he had a whole studio and stuff set up, so we tried it and it just really worked. and we were able to kind of control it, and we didn't know where we were going with it or what we were doing. So we, on the first record, Prophecies of the Conjoined, it was more out of just finding our way and seeing what the band could entail. And then once we got Marco and Kenzie in the band to do the second record, we had more contribution and stuff. But since Scott did such a good job on the first one, it was so well received. We were like, well, if it's not broke, why fix it? So we did that on that record, and then subsequently this new one. But again, now that we've kind of finished the trilogy and we've kept the same guest appearances, kept the same formula for 3 records, I think for the fourth record, it might be time to shake things up a little bit and go into like a new chapter of you know, what kind of story to tell next, how to record it, where to record it, what to do. So it's going to be interesting because we're in uncharted territory now because on the first 3 we kind of knew what we were doing, where we were going with this. So it's a little bit frightening and exciting at the same time because we want to keep the standard and the bar set that we've already accomplished, but at the same time we don't want to repeat ourselves because we've already finished what we set out to accomplish. So it was pretty much done the first time just out of just being naive and seeing what we had. We were just going to originally just throw the songs up on iTunes for fun, and we ended up getting a record deal out of it, and subsequently a publishing deal and a booking agent and all this other stuff out of it, and all this stuff. So we had to keep on doing it that way.
Nice, that's really interesting. And you returned to Ulrich Wild for mastering. So what do you think about his process working with him that's different from other engineers?
I've worked with Ulrich for uh, probably about 15 years at this point, and he's just absolutely amazing. He's one of the best producers, engineers, everything that I've ever worked with. And since we did everything in house, I wanted to bring somebody else in to kind of get that little sonic extra icing on the cake. So we had Ulrich master all the records, and he did a fantastic job. He knows exactly what to do, and he's worked with like Pantera, and he did all the Death Clock records, which I'm a big fan of the old cartoon Metalocalypse and all that sort of stuff. So uh, he's kind of like a little secret weapon that we've used for years, and very, very good friend of mine, and he's amazing. So
Nice. And because with the records, I mean, they definitely sound brutal, but the quality is there. I can hear every instrument. I can hear your vocals really well, so I can see why you've gone back to him. And now let's talk about the videos. Feasting upon the Rotted Uterus and Aborted in the Aztec Temples. What great song titles. Um, there is one, and now I can't remember which video, but it's one of you in a throne. You were in a throne the whole time. And then there was the other one where it looked like you were in a well. Like it looked like
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I guess talk about those videos and how all that came up.
Well, another good friend of mine named Jason Moit is a video director and photographer. And again, when we first started this project, I was just looking to kind of include friends. It's how I got, Terrence and James and Doc and stuff like that on there. So I asked Jason, I said, would you like to do a video and some lyric videos and stuff for the first record? And he's like, oh, absolutely. And he knocked them out of the park. So we've used them for everything. We've done we've done 5 music videos and 3 lyric videos with him so far. So on this one, we filmed them back to back, to where the other ones we did separately. So on this one, we did it back to back, and he had a friend that had a dairy farm. So we were around all these like cows and goats and hay and all this crazy stuff. So he wanted to make them look different from each other. So the first one was in a barn, and his brother Jacob, who was also doing some of the film work and stuff on it, had handcrafted this throne in his garage, uh, this like gothic looking throne. So they brought it with, and I sat down in it, and they started fire around it and stuff. And it kind of actually made me feel like David Vincent from Morbid Angel, like that kind of, how David Vincent has that very commanding, very, stern presence about him when he does something. So I call that the David Vincent throne is what I nicknamed it. And the fire was going, and the guy that whose family owns the the farm started freaking out because he's like, "Oh my God, this is like 100-year-old barn, and the flames keep getting higher and higher." And you know, us were just like, "Oh, don't worry about it; it'll be fine." And these flames are going basically almost igniting hay and all this other stuff. So it could have gone all sorts of wrong. And then the other part was it wasn't actually a well; it was a grain silo.
Hmm.
So I was walking around on all this wheat inside of this silo, probably contaminating the hell out of it with my boots and all that other stuff. But that part was done in a wheat silo for
Huh.
some of it uh, to kind of give a little bit more of an atmosphere to it. And as we were doing it, if you look in the video, uh, I like start sinking in there like quicksand. So it was really quite interesting doing it, but it was a lot of fun.
That's it. I would never thought that was a weed silo because like you see like the opening at the top. I was like, well, that looks like a massive like dried up well therein. Somehow got down there. I don't know how, but that is so. That's why I love asking questions about like music videos because I get all these interesting stories. Like, how did you end up there?
A well would have been cooler because it would have been more like Silence of the Lambs or The Ring or something like that.
Right,
But
right.
yeah,
And
I was sinking in a grain silo. And then if you look at the beginning of the video, there's these goats in there, and everybody's like, "Oh man, that's so evil! That's so evil!" And they're in there because we were petting them and feeding them right
oh,
beforehand.
baby. And goats are the sweetest animals too. And
Yeah.
like dogs with horns.
Oh yeah, I'm obsessed with those baby goat videos where they're jumping around and hitting each other in the heads and stuff, all on Instagram. Now all that pulls up is death metal and baby goat videos. That's all I see
I
on
mean, you have a
Instagram
great
anymore.
social media right there. I mean, that sounds perfect. I should, like figure out my algorithms for only death metal and baby goats. No, because I was also going to say about that throne. Like, you look really cool on that throne. You should just take that with you on tour, just set it up on stage, and then you're just in the throne for all
Oh,
your
that'd be
shows.
great. I could be like Ozzy when he did the last concert, just sitting on a throne
Right?
singing. Maybe start some fires and stuff like that too.
Like
That thing was
pyro.
heavy though. I it was like made I don't know how this guy Jacob who crafted it did it, but I mean it was heavy. I mean I just tried to move it over like a few inches and it took a couple people to do it. I mean that thing was solid, so I don't know how conducive it would be to be on tour with us, but
Maybe for special shows.
there you go. There you go.
All right, so you all just played some festivals. I have them written down. Abyss Festival, Basin Fire Fest, Hellfest, and Grass Pop. So, I mean, any like were there any specific amazing experiences, or was it just like you played some killer festivals, met some people, hung out in Europe for a while?
Oh, the European tour is absolutely phenomenal. What we did is we did 8 festivals and we did off dates with 6 Feet Under in clubs. And we since the tour we did last year with 6 Feet Under and Nile, we really became good friends with them. And I had already known Jack Owen from the early Cannibal days and my Oppressor days and stuff, so he was already a buddy. But I had never honestly met Chris Barnes until last year, and he's just the sweetest individual on the face of the planet and the nicest guy ever. And uh, we really hit it off with him on that USA tour that we did. So when this European thing came about, we have the same booking agent, and our agent said, "Hey, I have Embryonic Autopsy on all the same festivals. How about doing in between dates with them?" And Chris is like, "Oh yeah, we love those guys. We'd love to bring them with." So I mean, again, the kindness that he's shown us and helped build our band with is, I owe that guy so much for everything that he's done for us. But we had just an amazing time. Like all the club shows, all the German shows were sold out. All
Wow.
the other in between club shows were packed or close to sold out. And then the festivals, like, were just off the hook. Like Mystic Festival in Poland was a gigantic highlight. Grass Pop was amazing. The only one that I have a kind of a special story about is the Hellfest in France. And right now, Europe is experiencing a horrible heat wave, and we were over there during the peak of it. And in Europe, there's really not a lot of air conditioning, definitely no ice. You ask for ice, they give you one or two cubes in the glass. So we were just sweating like constantly. And as Americans, we love our air conditioning.
Yes.
And at Hellfest, we were playing and we were on the stage and the sun was beating down. It was 105 degrees out. And our guitar player Scott is to my left, and the sun was like completely on his side of the stage, but it kept creeping over. So I kept moving over more and more so that I'd stay out of it, but he couldn't get out of it. And he actually, after we played the set, went over to the trash can and threw up, was throwing up in the trash can because he either got mild heat stroke or just because of the heat beating down on him. But the band that had played before us, they were jamming out, and their guitar player went to do a jump, jumped up, passed out, and fell flat on the ground. So it
Oh
was
gosh.
it was a little crazy, but I mean it was a great show, but it was just so hot there. They were restricting people's alcohol consumption, telling people to stay in the shade, shutting down stages for like a little bit of time till it cooled down. But uh, just a crazy time as far as the heat went
Yeah.
in Europe this time of year. But the tour itself was just through the roof amazing. And we have 6 Feet Under and our booking agent, Dan from TKO to thank for it. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. So
But yeah, I mean, I went to Hellfest 10 years? 10 years ago. And I guess, for the viewers here who have never been to France in the summer, I mean, I had to buy a hoodie. Like they have the merch market, that big merch market. I had to go in there and buy a hoodie because I think I was just wearing a t-shirt and it got chilly in the evening. So I'm like, I need a jacket. And yeah, so to hear like comparing that, me needing to buy a hoodie because it was raining and cold till you were, like you were all suffering heat stroke. Like that is awful. But I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad you had a good time on your Europe tour. I did forget to mention Mystic Festival, but yeah, I'm glad all the festivals and the shows and everything were great. So, but now let's talk about your festivals and tours coming up. I saw that you're playing Big Island Bash. I've never heard of that before. Have you been there or played there?
Hawaii is my favorite place on earth. I've been there twice. And I saw it actually advertised, like they were announcing that they were putting that festival together. So I just literally reached out to the promoter on online and
Okay.
said, your festival looks awesome. Hawaii is my favorite place on earth. Would there happen to be a spot for embryonic autopsy? And he knew who we were, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'd love to have you guys," and put us on the fest. Which reminds me, I've got to get with the rest of the band. We have to book the plane tickets because that's coming up pretty fast. We haven't done that yet, but the festival looks fantastic. I mean, the promoter who's doing it, this guy Damien, he really put a lot of hard work into making a good package. And he's done them before, and brought bands, but he always, leans towards bringing, extreme bands or death metal bands and stuff. So we're really excited to be a part of that. And yeah, like I said, we have to book those flights now that you're reminding me pretty soon
I'm,
on that
I'm
one.
glad I reminded you, but I mean, yeah, I'm always looking for new festivals to go to. So when I saw that on your social media, I was like, I've never heard of this festival before. I'm gonna go to Hawaii and see some death metal.
You
Maybe.
should come out. We'll put you on the guest list.
Oh,
You'll be
thank
all
you.
set.
Thank you. That's really sweet of you. I mean, if and that's the case, I would have to get a plane ticket too.
Yeah, they're not the plane tickets to Hawaii aren't very cheap. Where are you from?
Florida.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. That's a pretty good hike because you gotta fly to California and then you have to go from California on over to Hawaii.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Pretty crazy stuff. But and now next year you have the US tour with Nervosa. I mean, like I told you before the interview, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. So, I guess what are your thoughts and feelings for the tour next year?
yeah, we'll be back out your way. It'll be great to see you for sure. So yeah, I mean, the tour came up and We thought it'd be great. I love Nervosa. I think they're awesome. And Castrator's an amazing band too. So we got offered it and we're just like, great, let's do it, And they're two all-female bands that we're going with. And luckily, we have Kenzie, who's our female bass player. So they were like, okay, as long as they have at least one girl in the band, they can come with. So
Yeah.
they signed off on it. But I think the package is going to be really cool. Nervosa kind of has that deathy thrash part to it, to our castrator is just kind of all out brutality. And then you add us, which is this old school death metal with the modern twist, if you will. And I think it's gonna be a great package. We're really looking forward to it. It's hitting a lot of great clubs and there seems to be a lot of excitement online for it. So it's all around, it's very exciting. So it'll be how, for us, it'll be our first USA tour to support the new record, Rise of the Mutated. So we're excited about that as well.
Nice, badass. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one. I have it on my calendar, so I'll be there. And
Awesome.
then this is the last question. You can say anything. You can thank the fans, promote the new album, promote your upcoming shows. It's all on you.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for the interview, uh, and for all the support you've given Embryonic Autopsy. You rule.
Absolutely. Thank
Uh, Secondly, thank you to all the fans out there who have given us a chance and followed the band. I mean, we've really made something special into this band, and it wouldn't have been possible without, the fans and our record label Massacre Records and our great publicist Dustin Hardman
you,
and you
Justin.
know, yeah, he's the best.
Hi, Justin.
He actually used to manage Oppressor. That's how I know him.
Yeah,
And
you
now
told
we're
me the
working.
story.
Yeah, now we're working together again. So it's funny how things come full circle. But the team we have around us, like I said, with Massacre Records and now Mystic Productions, and Dustin Hardman and our booking agent Dan at the Kirby Agency, and wonderful people like yourself who support the band and do interviews, and the fans that have we've built up and have come out to the shows. Just I can't say how much we appreciate it and thank everybody so much. In fact, it's been going so well, in fact, that we just renewed our record contract today, actually, with Massacre Records. So there's another thing to celebrate. We fulfilled our album obligations, and we've been so happy to work together. We just renewed the contract, so we've got another three records coming your way. So, thank you to everybody that's done it. We've got some great tours coming up. The Nervosa and Castrator tour in January and February and March. And then we're headed off to the Philippines right after that. And we're going to go back to Europe next summer to do the festivals that we didn't do this past summer. And then just fill in stuff with some more USA dates and more fests and the whole nine yards. We don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So
All right, everybody. Thank you for checking out this interview. Rise of the Mutated is out now, so you can buy it, listen to it, stream it, however you consume music. But I will include a link to, is it Bandcamp or do you purchase the music off Massacre Records, like the website?
there's if you go to our Facebook page, there's a ton of links on where to get everything. There's two different vinyls. There's a splatter vinyl, red vinyl. There's the digipack. Anywhere you consume music, you can get it on iTunes, you can get it on Spotify, YouTube Music. Naturally, we encourage getting the physical copies because I still love to hold something in my hand, and that's always the best version as far as sonic quality and everything. And the Digipack actually has a 20-page booklet with a bunch of art and all the lyrics and sick pictures and all that sort of stuff in there. So, definitely if anybody does feel the need, please, buy it offline or wherever you can find it. It's available everywhere on Amazon and, through Massacre Records Direct, through Seasons of Mist, through Napalm Records, through Plastic Head, through eBay. I mean, you name it, it's pretty much out there. And all the good little independent stores that are still going and supporting death metal and independent music still have it. There's nothing like walking into a music store and grabbing something off the shelf. So I always encourage that.
Absolutely. So yes, I always like to include links to where you can buy a physical copy. So I'll definitely include links to where you can buy the vinyl and the CD. And They have a lot of great tours coming up. They're playing Hawaii, like that's amazing. And they have the US tour with Nervosa and Castrator. So that's going to be killer. I will definitely be there. Everybody should go to that. And then, yeah, it seems like Embryonic Autopsy has a lot of cool stuff happening next year. I'm sure we will learn all more about that in the near future. So thank you for watching this interview and stay metal.